Hey, football and baseball maniacs, we are live this Tuesday evening as we discuss all things draft, baseball drafts, and I don't know, maybe get in a draft on the Driving to the Top production and the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page. Before I bring in Dynasty Dorks, please subscribe, like, and share Driving to the Top Productions and the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page, where it might be wrestling, it might be football, it might be golf, it might be UFC, but we try and get everything. Also, check out the Big D podcast. As you know, I host the Big D podcast, so we try and get a division a week. So last week we did the AFC West. Hopefully, do the NFC West this week. Check us out, Spotify and Apple. So, joining us from America's fastest city, Indianapolis, Dave Heilman, or better known as Dynasty Dorks. So, is this going to be a dorky podcast tonight or stream?
Yeah, and they call the fantasy football the dorks, nerds. We've heard it all. So you just got to embrace it. So it will be a very dorky draft.
I took Spanish in college. I hope we don't have to take dork language next.
Yeah, no, we're good. We're good.
July. I mean, we're getting close to the training camp, but still don't know exactly what's happened. Like which guys are going to perform well, which rookies are going to play early, which guys are going to set the bench. Will there be any moves? Will Brandon Ayuk potentially be moved? Will one of the three Chicago Bear running backs be moved? Will CeeDee Lamb get a new deal? Which tight end will emerge in Denver? I mean, what are some questions you're looking to answer in July?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot you're going to see in July. I mean, it's a lot of coach speak. You can't really, you got to find some beat writers that you trust. The beat writer that told everybody that Jamar Chase can't catch a ball without stripes, steered people the wrong way. Everybody looks good. Everybody's in the best shape of their life. Everyone that's been injured is ahead of schedule. And, it's really hard to read through those things. But at the end of the day, you can start looking at the ADP about, market value. ADP is a great way to look at what the market thinks about players. And, July is far enough away where we've seen free agency, we've seen the draft, and the data is kind of settled a little bit. So at least know where people are going in their drafts so we can start thinking about draft strategy.
Yeah, and also I feel like you can still get values on certain guys. I mean, once we hit September and once we hit August and early September, you lose out the value of these guys. I mean, it seemed like the earlier you drafted Sam Laporta, the earlier you drafted Trey McBride or Kieran Williams last year, the better, because you lose out on certain value. I mean, and also everybody's going to know about who's going to be the number one running back for this team or that team, or the number one receiver for this team, or maybe how a coach will run a certain offense. Will it be 2 tight end? Will it be 3 wide receiver? Because if you think, I mean, I haven't drafted any Brock Bowers this year because I have no idea what the Raiders' offense is going to be this year. Plus, Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew don't exactly read Super Bowl champ.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what we know from Luke Getsy is the last time Devonta Adams, had a great season. Luke Getsy was they had Aaron Rodgers, it was MVP Aaron Rodgers, but Devonta Adams got peppered with targets. We know that for sure. And you can kind of look back at some of those, maybe those Green Bay offenses and try to get some trends. Little different offense in Chicago with a different style of quarterback. And we'll see. I don't hate Minshew or O'Connell. I don't think they're necessarily world beaters, but Minshew was pretty decent for Michael Pittman last year. But I don't know if, he can support many other products. One guy that I am targeting because I do think Minshew is going to be the the starter based on the amount of money they paid him is Jacoby Myers. He's a pretty decent value. And Minshew targeted first read targets to Josh Downs like crazy last year. He likes the slot position.
Here's what I would say about Minshew. Can he play without Shane Steichen? But that's a story we'll find out
Yeah, we'll find out because Steichen is the man.
Yeah. What's your draft strategy when it comes to best ball drafts? Because we know everybody's got a common strategy, whether it be zero running back, hero running back, robust running back. I've seen teams even go zero wide receiver, or maybe just go draft all the tight ends or draft all the quarterbacks. What's your strategy?
Yeah, I mean, I there's a lot of very, very smart people out there that've done a lot of research. So I try to follow them. And one of the things that they talk about is, getting your receivers early. You want to have, 4 to 5 receivers in the first 7 rounds. And so that makes it very difficult to get a whole bunch of running backs and other positions. So I will wait a little bit on quarterback. I'll get, I do like the anchor running back or hero running back strategy. Maybe get one running back in the first 4 rounds, but I'm really attacking the receivers. And then, it is nice to get an early tight end. I do think there's a little bit more parity at the position. I'm not going to wait too much, but, you look at guys like Kyle Pitts and Dalton Kincaid, they're projected for very similar production than a guy like a Evan Ingram, who you can get 2 or 3 rounds cheaper because he's not as sexy of a pick. But I'm not going to go with a late round tight end. Bully tight end and bully quarterback have not been successful strategies for underdog best ball mania. And so I don't do those if I can.
Yeah, I did one bully tight end where I got Sam Laporta and Brandon Ayuk, but that was in a Detroit San Francisco stack, so I don't think I'll be doing a lot of bully tight ends.
Yeah.
What I do like doing is working my stacks with the tight end or having a tight end just as a value play.
Yeah.
Right, because you could go, let's just say, pick a random early round wide receiver.
We'll go with Nico Collins.
Okay, so if you're going to draft CJ Stroud, guess who would be a good bring back? Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to draft the Chiefs with Mahomes, Kelsey, Hollywood Brown, or Worley, maybe you get Fryermuth, maybe you get Pickens, maybe you get one of the running backs. Although I'm not sure I would get Najee Harris as the bring back. Doesn't seem more of a PPR guy. Might be okay on underdog where it's half-point PPR, but
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think Fryermuth is an interesting play based on Arthur Smith. They're going to run a ton of 12 personnel. For those who don't know what that is, one run. You're looking at, 22 personnel with 2 tight ends, but you want the 2 tight ends, and Darnell Washington is not going to steal it. I know the jokes are out there, but they led, Atlanta led the league in air yards last year. And so to the tight end position, Pat Fryermuth, he's one of those guys that could end up being second on his team in targets. And every tight end that was a tight end 1 last year was either 1 or 2 on their team in targets. A very clear, breakout indicator is where they're going to be on that. And if they can get that, 750 air yard threshold. And so I think Pat Fryermuth is a breakout candidate.
Who are some of your favorite guys to target in drafts?
Yeah, I mean, it for me, it's definitely always value. And so I look at guys that are kind of underappreciated. And so, like, I'm a dynasty player, so we love young players. But people like the new hotness, and so they're gonna really. I got to plug in my computer real quick before it dies.
But just as Dave was saying, it seems like everybody loves young players, rookie wide receivers, whether it be Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Rome Meduze, Land McConkey, who's the wide receiver in Kansas City, Xavier Worthy, Keon Coleman, potentially one of the running backs. I mean, not this year, but, although Jonathan Brooks is probably the best of the rookie running backs. I mean, Bijan was seemingly going too high last year with everybody in Atlanta. Now it's about the 107.
Sorry about that.
Dave, it's weird how Bijan Robinson's going earlier than he did last year, and I felt that was early. Now it's earlier.
Well, and this is, you look back, you talk about Najee Harris earlier, you go back to Saquon Barkley's rookie year, you go to Najee Harris's rookie year. I know Bijan is not a rookie year, but you look at an older quarterback coming off of injury, you could see Bijan really get targeted with all these dump off passes. And you also don't have, it's addition by subtraction. Arthur Smith is out of town, and they're talking about using Bijan Robinson, very similar to a Christian McCaffrey. We saw how Kyron Williams was used last year. So we're expecting less balance, more touches. And of course, in the passing game, Kirk Cousins is a quarterback that will do a lot of dump offs compared to a Desmond Ridder.
So when it's a 4th and 8 in the playoff game, we expect a dump off the pits of Bijan Robinson, right?
Well, I mean, Kirk Cousins he's also got an Achilles injury, so he's not going to be sitting back there taking big shots.
He's not going to be Jalen. He's not going to be Jane Daniels. That's for sure.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I kind of like taking Atlanta's a sneaky stack even with Cousins. I mean, maybe especially as a 3 quarterback team because you get one Pitts or you get Bijan, Pitts, Drake London, and get it back. I love bringing back like Terry McLaurin because maybe Terry McLaurin finally got a decent quarterback in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, a late round value would be Darnell Mooney. There's not really a clear-cut number 2 receiver unless you consider it's him. Rondale Moore is on that team. I would say that Darnell Mooney's very likely going to be the number 2. Probably, if you consider Kyle Pitts a receiver, then he'd be the number 3 receiver. But I would say Mooney is probably the number 2. He gets the slot role there with Kirk Cousins. Very interesting play for Atlanta and this offense where we've never seen Zach Robinson call plays. And so we know that he's, McVay disciple. And so, but I'm excited to see what Darnell Mooney can do with improvement at quarterback.
Before we get into the draft, do you want to take a look at the draft I did last night? Because I want to see what you like and what you don't like about my draft.
Let's do it.
Wait, hold on. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, so I got the 104 on this draft last night and took Jamal Chase.
I mean, you went 3 quarterbacks to start it off, so 4 quarterbacks to start it off. So I'm already liking this. Receivers have just less volatility to the position. And then is that Mark Andrews in the 5th round?
Yes.
I'm a big fan of Mark Andrews. I'm not sure why he's not going a little bit higher. Another guy that could, would you be surprised if Mark Andrews was the number 1 target on his team?
Nope.
Yeah, and so
I'm trying to get all the Raven sacks I could get.
Yeah, and so this is obviously interested to see how the running backs played out, but I love it. Burrow, Andrews. Again, I was just listening to Underdog Fantasy, and they were talking about players that were just values. And you look at a guy like Burrow, who's projected for very similar production to a CJ Stroud, and you can get him at least a round cheaper. Zamir White, volume back. And then back to the receivers with Addison. Eckler, Eckler is one where I'm hot and cold on him. I like the fact that he's paired back up with Anthony Lynn. We know that Anthony Lynn and Cliff Kingsbury target the running back. I mean, no matter what running back they have had in Arizona, they were decent. You go back to Kenyon Drake out of nowhere, was good, good for fantasy football. Love the Jerome Ford pick. Eckler, it just depends on what kind of volume he gets. If Eckler's only going to be a third down back, he's only going to get some of that passing downs. Jaden Daniels is not a Kirk Cousins where he's not going to, we'll see what it looks like for Eckler. Stafford
I think Eckler is better in PPR. Like, I don't think I would have any Eckler on underdog. That would be all.
Yeah. And again, it all Brian Robinson is a guy that I'm targeting. I think that he could get quite a bit of work. He's almost had 200 points last year. Again, Eckler did seemed like the Chargers were doing everything they can to keep him off the field. I don't know if that was just, trying to find something new in their other players, but hopefully Austin Eckler's, back for another good year.
And then Stafford, I mean, Burrow felt like a great value. I mean, like, nobody wants to draft Matthew Stafford. I know he's
everybody wants the flashy, everybody wants the flashy running quarterback. And the thing is what's nice about these guys is you can pair them together like you did with the receivers. Is these pocket passers. If I told you a pocket passer had the same amount of points as the rushing quarterback, you're going to want the statue because the statue is much easier to pair. And so you got Joe Burrow and Higgins, and you got Stafford and Kupp. It's beautiful. I love that.
And then after getting Stafford, I went Marshawn Lloyd.
Yeah, I'm a Marshawn Lloyd fan. I got to be part of the media for the NFL Combine and got to interview some of the players. And Marshawn Lloyd was one of my favorite guys that I got to talk to. And I'm not convinced that Josh Jacobs is going to be, as good as we've seen him. He was a little bit inefficient last year. I think for 2025 and 26, Marshawn Lloyd's more interesting than this year. But if Jacobs goes down, you got a top 15 back.
And then Taysom Hill, I mean,
you talk about spike weeks.
Yeah. And then J.K. Dobbins, I mean, I'm trying to divvy out my ownership of the LA running backs, thinking all three are going to get usage.
I mean, we don't even know. I mean, for all we know, Isaiah Spiller could end up being a stud in that offense. It's going to be
the year Isaiah Spiller piss us all right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. I just actually put a post today about injured players, and J.K. Dobbins came up. I said, sorry, babe, can't come home tonight. Me and the boys are talking about random players we wish never got hurt. And J.K. Dobbins came up in the conversation. James Robinson, Todd Gurley, Tariq Cohen. I mean, man, J.K. Dobbins could have been so good.
And then I drafted Michael Wilson in the 15th round, Troy Franklin, Roshan. Who's my last quarterback? Oh, Bo Nix.
Yeah. Nix is another guy. I mean, they're talking about using him in the rushing a little bit. McMillan. It's a good player.
Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
So I think it's older than both of us put together.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really to find picks, hard to find picks round 15 through 20 that you love. I think I maybe, maybe would have went some different directions here, but honestly, I don't really know where I would have gone. I mean, you're drafting guys, Jalen McMillan, don't love him, but I mean, what are you going to take? You could take Alexander Madison and handcuff. Handcuffing isn't really necessarily a strategy in best ball. Amani Bailey. I mean, there's A.J. Dillon. I'd rather just take a shot on a guy like McMillan. Ertz, maybe the beginning of the season, he's pretty good. I mean, a lot of these older players, a lot of people focus on the bye week for quarterbacks. a lot of teams after the bye week that you can see more running back or receiver production. Especially the running backs, they turn the keys over to the running back after the bye week with some fresh legs.
Or what you see is, and watch this happen in Minnesota, J.J. McCarthy's going to play week 7 because Minnesota's start is brutal.
It is. So, yeah, I mean, we could definitely see that. Odell Beckham, it's going to be interesting seeing him in Miami.
But I'm not drafting J.J. McCarthy as a 1 or 2 quarterback. He'll be a 3 quarterback team.
Yeah.
So
you just don't know.
So what do you think about the team?
I think it's good, man. I really like the top half. I mean, the bottom half, like I said, I would have probably done a little bit different. I'm very concerned about any running back with a Achilles injury, especially one coming off of an ACL injury. But like, again, you're diversifying your portfolio with that LA backfield. Daniel Jeremiah was very high about Dobbins. He actually said for fantasy football he would target J.K. Dobbins. That was, during the draft or before the draft. But I like it. I like Michael Wilson there as kind of a contrarian pick to everyone that's going after McBride and Harrison Jr. I love Troy Franklin. You paired him up with Bo Nix. So, again, a couple guys I would have targeted here at the end. I do like Demarcus Robinson. I think he's, showed us last year he can be a good play.
I've gotten too much Demarcus Robinson, and if I get him, I'm going to end up Kenneth Gainwell and myself from last year.
But I mean, yeah, there's not much to say. Like I said, I like it. And you got a good variety of players. You don't want to get more than 3 tight ends or more than 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah,
and you got that.
I'm not one to draft 4 quarterbacks or 4 tight ends. I'm not breaking my own rules.
Yeah, that's a rule. You don't do that. So I think, and you got the wide receivers early, like I said earlier. So I like it.
All right, you ready to draft? I don't know how we're going to do that.
Yeah, let's see if we can get in the same one. Fast draft or slow?
Fast. I'm not staying here all night. So, wait, do this. Wait, I may have to. Better do this at the same time.
All right. You just give me a 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right, I'm in. It says 9 out of 12.
I'm 9 out of 12. Which team? Wait. Oh, yeah, you here. We are in the same draft.
All right, worked.
You D Heilman 23.
That's me. I don't really use DK that much, but is this I might have a Justin Jefferson going on.
Yeah, and I'm spunky 3,300. So it's funny. The last draft we did, the guy was basically all underdog.
Yeah.
I
got the 10 spot.
For the 15th straight time, I got the 104. That's like the 3rd draft in a row I got the 104.
Wow. Well, are you able to pull that up? I'm going to use my phone to draft.
Okay. So I mean at 104, I mean who you thinking there? I mean underdog's a little different because it's half point PPO, but still who you thinking at 104?
Yeah, again, like it just goes back to like as much as I would love to take a Bijan Robinson or a Breece Hall, I don't like the receivers in the 2nd round. So you have to go with either a Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson, if not Amon-Ra St. Brown right there, like you did yesterday. And it's just that's how I would end up doing it.
Yeah, I mean I try and mix up my receivers early because if I have so much of Tyreek Hill, so much of Jamar Chase, so much of Jamar Chase, or so much of Justin Jefferson, I'm praying that they don't get hurt this year. Otherwise, plus I want to have different stack varieties, because they're all, I mean, I'm thinking of week 17 because they're all different in how I would stack between Detroit, San Francisco, Miami, Cleveland, or Denver, Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Now, at the 110, you're going to have fun because you're probably going to end up drafting like A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, that's where I'm looking at. Either AJ Brown or Garrett Wilson, and come back around, and maybe Nico Collins or Drake London.
I don't know. Nico Collins one of the hardest guys to figure out.
And I'm not opposed to Jonathan Taylor in the second round, but we'll see. I probably am going to double tap receiver to start. Just depends on who's there.
That's probably what I'm thinking. Oh, surprise! Christian McCaffrey went 101, and now Georgia's tanking. Come on, take Jamar Chase. I don't want to take another Cincinnati stack.
Yeah. Leave you with Tyreek Hill would not be a bad pick there.
No, I'm thinking I'm on Raw here.
Hey, it's all right. That's good. That's a good one.
Why are these guys tanking? I'm gonna take Amon Ra.
That's all right. Monroe Brown he's one of those guys where, people want the sexy outside receiver, the big, tall, fast guy, and this guy just produces every single week, and that's not a bad pick at all. There goes Bijan.
There goes Brees Hall. There goes Puka.
All right. Well, it came down just like we said. So I'm going to take A.J. Brown, and then we'll see. I doubt Garrett Wilson makes it back to me, and that's where I'm going to be stuck with a decision to make, whether I, go with the Jahmyr Gibbs. Do I go with the Drake London or Jonathan Taylor or Nico Collins? I do like Nico. I'm a believer, and I don't think Diggs is going to be the guy, but I do think Diggs is a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, might become a pain in the backside.
Oh, there goes Drake London. They must be watching.
Stream sniping. They're like the Warzone stream snipers you would see.
Yeah, I mean, they're leaving me all these running backs. So I talked about it earlier, whether I was going to go Barkley, Taylor, but I'm sticking to it. I'm going to double tap, and I am going with Nico Collins here with my second pick. Again, I do believe in Nico. He's the number one in Houston.
So, where I am at pick 21, I mean, who do you think I'm looking at? Who do you think here, if you're me?
I mean, you're looking at Brandon Ayuk, Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp. If you wanted to go a little early on tight end, you could go Kelsey. But, this is where you're probably going to end up with a, Brandon Ayuk or a Cooper Kupp as your, next receiver, unless you go with the Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams.
Yeah, and then you pray that Brandon Ayuk doesn't get traded.
Yeah, and Brandon Ayuk, it's a situation that is really, really good, but they've also got several mouths to feed, Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle and everybody there, that he could go to a team with maybe a better situation. I don't necessarily think it'd be a bad idea to see him go somewhere like Washington, or they've talked about Washington being an option for him. Like, imagine if Buffalo was able to figure something out to get him.
Oh gosh, that would be crazy if he ended up in Buffalo. I mean, Josh Allen, Ayuk, and Kincaid.
I think what would tank him is if he ended up in New England.
Oh yeah.
That would be tough. But I mean, the teams that I've read that have been in on it, and they do say that it does sound like he's going to stay and he's going to play there, but Pittsburgh and Washington have been the most common. You have the connection in Washington with Adam Peters. Adam Peters is the GM of the Washington Commanders, and he comes from San Francisco and was part of the squad that drafted Ayuk and developed him.
I mean, Chargers, but Jim Harbaugh's not going to trade for Brandon Ayuk. I mean, that's not going to happen.
No. So yeah, there's not many places out there. You know, Carolina's already made their trades and decisions.
You know who I'm thinking of getting here? I mean, Derrick Henry's tempting. He's really tempting here. Oh man, it's between Henry and Laporta.
Yeah, I like it. You already got Amon-Ra St. Brown, so I would probably go Kelsey or Cup. But I don't hate Henry here if you want to go and get a, stud tight end anchor.
I still like Laporta. I'm going to get my Detroit stack. I know.
There you go.
And plus, I think Mahomes went off the board. Yeah, Mahomes went off the board at 3-1. Now the quarterbacks are going to start.
The quarterbacks are starting to fly off the board a little bit.
Yeah. You're thinking here. So, I mean, you've got A.J. Brown and Nico Collins. I mean, you could go. Oh, there goes DK Metcalf.
Yeah, there's a few different people here, but the guy that I was eyeing up the whole time is Kelsey. Kelsey is, he last year, everyone thought he declined. He was literally 0.1 points away from Sam Laporta, the number one, and he was 0.2 points away from the number 2 tight end overall last year. So he went from 15.5 fantasy points a game, which is a ridiculous number, to 11.2. And the average top number 1 overall tight end is 11.2. So I think he's the number 1 target. Everyone's still trying to figure out Rashee Rice, the situation, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown. It's Kelsey. It's always been Kelsey until it's not. And so I like 3rd round Kelsey better than 1st round Kelsey last year.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, am I up again?
No, you're on one more pick. Now you're up.
Now I'm on the clock. And so I'm going to go here with ETN. Give me a receiving back. Got my 2 receivers, got my onesie position, and then I got my 1 running back in the first 4 rounds, which is something I do try to do. Think you look at a guy like ETN who doesn't have a whole lot of competition in the backfield.
I don't, Travis Etienne's one of the hardest guys for me to judge because I keep wondering when something's going to happen with Tank Bigsby.
I mean, Tank Bigsby graded as the worst running back in football last year.
And I can attest because I'm a Jags fan. Every time Tank Bigsby got on the field, he made me want to vomit.
Yeah, I mean, Dearness Johnson is better than Tank Bigsby, and
that's not saying.
Yeah, I thought the Jags could have added a running back. I thought there were several running backs that they could have added. But yeah, I like the Jags offense. I think Evan Ingram is one of my favorite tight ends to target if I don't go with one of the top 3 guys. It's just comes back down to value. And I might be kicking myself a little bit if Mark Andrews comes back around to me, but I'm still good with my spot. But you do see that where a guy like Mark Andrews, he's going at pick 53 right now. and that's a pretty good value for a guy that I think is, clearly the number one receiving option on his team.
Oh, speaking of the Jags, I drafted Christian Kirk.
You did. I love it. Yeah. Kirk and Calvin Ridley was such an odd pairing to me because, you kind of go back to, I'm a Giants fan. You go back to the Giants where they picked up all these slot receivers. And it's like, you need players that can do different things and not a bunch of the same. And so Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley both kind of, you need some diversity to the offense.
That's the earliest I've seen Calvin Ridley go pick 50.
Wow. So you got James Cook and Jared Goff in the queue. You're not going to go this early on Goff, or are you?
No way. I'm not going to go this early on Goff. I'm going to get my running back.
And you can see here, this is why we tell you to get your receivers early. The receivers are already starting to dry up a little bit. T. Higgins just went off the board. You had Ridley, Kirk, Cooper, Pickens, Dell. I mean, a lot of these guys are like, this is kind of the last spot for your wide receiver 2s, and we're getting into wide receiver 3 territory pretty quickly.
Yeah, honestly, if you don't get wide receivers, I don't get some of these teams drafting one wide receiver in the first 5-6 rounds, like Nelson 2473 is going. It's not really bowling running back. It's like robust running back. I'm like, if you're going to draft that many running backs, you might as well just not draft anymore.
Yeah. I mean, that's tough. So Hollywood Brown goes. So I won't be able to get my, hedge my Mahomes bets here. But we talked about it earlier. Terry McLaurin is the number one option there for Washington. I'm going to take him and kind of play the ADP game on that one because, I like some other options here. So I'm going to, hope that these guys come back around to me. And McLaurin was just top of the queue.
I don't hate. I like me some McLaurin. I mean, number one in what should be a better offense this year. It can't be any worse, right?
No, it cannot be much worse. I was considering Rachaad White here, but I actually wanted one of these receivers before I go back to the running back position and before I get my quarterback. Again, kind of the rule is to have 4 to 5 receivers through 7 rounds. And it's just, again, you got to look at your pairings. You look at the running backs in the 5th round versus the running backs in the 7th round. You say, hey, they're kind of the same. And you look at the receivers in the 5th round and the receivers in the 7th round. You say, yeah, I like them better.
Yeah, if Cook wouldn't have been there, I would have taken White because of that PPR upside. I'm not really a Josh Jacobs fan. I don't mind Mixon, but I'm not going to punch out myself. I was hoping Pacheco would get back to me, but he didn't.
Yeah, did a video last night. Pacheco's actually my thumbnail. I think Pacheco is a guy that, he's a very cheap RB1. So I was thinking Keenan Allen or Jaden Reed were my picks. So I'm gonna go with Jaden Reed here.
I mean, I'm more on the Jane Reed train too because guess what? I'm thinking I want to have some of all Green Bay wide receivers, but I think he's got the safest floor. I mean, Christian Watson's health concerns the you know what out of me.
Yeah, Christian Watson's health is a problem, and I like guys that teams manufacture touches for. This guy is someone that they really looked to utilize him around the goal line. similar to Debo Samuel. That they call him the Wisconsin Debo, and he's taking jet sweeps. He's doing bubble screens. He's doing things around that and he scored the fourth most fantasy points per touch last year, and he was a rookie. And so I think he's someone that, he didn't have a great start to the season, but he finished really strong. And I think the offense, I think they know they're going to use him.
Am I crazy to go not Deontay Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins here? Oh.
Now, well,
never mind.
He's the guy ahead of you said that's not crazy.
No, I don't know who to take. Do I just take Evan Ingram and just try and get my?
I talked about it earlier. I think Evan Ingram and Jake Ferguson, for me, that's the cutoff of guys that I'm confident in. Njoku I like, but he didn't do so great with Deshaun Watson. They got the offensive coordinator change. I mean, I think anyone in their right mind would say that Njoku should be used like he was used the last 8 games. But is it going to happen? What's that going to look like? So we'll see. I got a couple guys that I'm eyeing up that I'm getting a little nervous whether they get back to me or not, which that tells me they're probably not getting back to me.
Yeah, I'm debating whether or not to take Goff here or wait a couple more, or wait another round. I mean, it might depend on which one of these receivers is still there.
Yeah, it's getting slimmer.
I know. Although I'm not going to tell you the guy I really want, but I'll give you a hint. He's a rookie.
Well, I'm going to say that the guy you want is McConkey.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a Lad fan. There's definitely some Lad appreciation on my timeline. So I was hoping that I get Ramondre Stevenson. I think he's a very, very solid RB2. I think he's a 0 RB target for an RB1.
Absolutely.
And so I don't like not getting him, but I still like some options here. This is, a lot of people refer to this as the RB dead zone. And part of that is just because, again, like these guys, how much better are they than the guys that are a couple rounds behind them? And you're having to pass up, really good options at quarterback and receiver.
So who you thinking quarterback-wise here? You thinking Jordan Love? Or you thinking James?
I love Kyler Murray. And so if Kyler Murray falls back, I'd be very interested. But I'm also, I could stack Love or Daniels here. And so, I got a few different options. So I'm going to attack the running back position first, and then I'll swing back around because I'm totally fine with what I'm going to do there. Well, I was going to take Zamir White. That completely that sucked a little bit. But I just don't love that there with DeAndre Swift. So I'm going to go with James Conner.
No, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you how much DeAndre Swift I am drafting this year. 0.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. And so, the thing with the quarterback position is you can wait. These guys just keep falling down the board. And but we are at the spot where I'm probably going to take one. I did think a little bit about taking Ferguson there, just for that touchdown upside. But we'll wait. Swift is off the board. I'm happy with that.
Good riddance.
Yeah. And there goes Kyler Murray. So that leaves me my options here of Love, Purdy, or Jaden Daniels. And it leaves your boy Goff on the board as well.
Yeah, I'm not planning on taking Purdy. You can have him.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's probably Love or Daniels, and so I probably could wait another round, but we'll see.
Might depend on what this guy takes. Anthony. Yeah, I also think it's important to get your stack on, or know what your stack is early, because if you go Travis Scott,
I'm gonna play the game and wait. I'm gonna wait it out and try to get my quarterback next round, and maybe stack Love or Daniels.
I'll tell you what. I mean, I try and get Dolphin running backs. I mean, like I try and get HA in a Tua stack, or if I go zero running back, Raheem Mostert. I don't mind that.
Yeah, I figured with Mostert and Connor, I should gobble up some touchdowns.
Yeah, you're gonna get the old guys.
Yeah, I mean I'm used to getting the young guys in Dynasty, but it's nice I can get some older guys here.
I'm gonna take a quarterback with my next pick, and it's not gonna be Jordan Love. No, I wouldn't. No, I'm not. No, I'm not that bad.
That's all right. And you got Goff. You got your stack. So you got Laporta, St. Brown, and Goff. I think that's a pretty nice little spot right there.
And a bring back too with Brandon Ayuk.
Oh, nice.
I don't know. Like now, I'm thinking of running back. I'll tell you which guy. I'll tell you one guy. I'm not taking. I've got one share of him or one share too many. Javonte.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Jonathan Brooks there?
I like him. I think
Yeah.
Brandon Brooks is good. I mean, I know what he did at Texas, and assuming he's okay for the start of the year, I think Brooks makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think Carolina will be better. I mean, it can't be any worse, right?
Yeah. No, I like Brooks. I mean, I think that's a solid pick. He's a guy that you look at Rashad White.
Somebody else took him.
You look at what Rashad White did last year in that offense.
So somebody took him. So what's my plan B now?
Yeah, I mean, depends if you liked Tony Pollard.
Oh God. I like Tajay more, but I've got to mix it up. I mean, hope somebody.
I like Tajay, but they were pretty quick to go and find Tony Pollard in free agency, and for a guy that's been a top 20 fantasy option 2 years in a row, I think it's a pretty decent pick.
Oh boy.
We'll see. I played the ADP game with these quarterbacks. We'll see if it works out for me.
Can't believe. Well, Jane Darren's already off the board.
I'm a Purdy fan, so I'm okay with if I can get one of those two guys, Love or Purdy. But I'll be pretty upset if this goes Love and Purdy back to back here.
Don't blame me. Don't blame me.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's very likely it could happen. Then I'm gonna go Caleb Williams in that case, but I don't have any stacking options there unless I were to up to it. There we go. I get Love or Purdy, so I'm happy with that.
What's he doing? He's not stacking anybody. Like who is like he didn't stack Tyreek H. Angle. Oh no!
Wow, looks like I'm gonna be drafting Jawan Jennings. There goes that stack for me. I'll be all right. I mean, I do prefer to stack, but I am just gonna go for the best possible roster here. I'm not able to get any of those. No Mahomes, no Daniels, no Love. My quarterback is Purdy, so he's not gonna, no options right now. Debo's off the board. I could go with pretty Ricky Pearsall.
no. Could. And hope Ayuk gets traded, otherwise then my team's effed up.
Yeah, I mean, it could be.
So who you thinking here?
Well, I think I got some decent options. I kind of like Cortland Sutton here, but I think I do got to go back to the running back position.
Yeah.
And I gave him a little bit of love earlier, and so I'm gonna give him some love right back. And if he's available, I'm gonna take Brian Robinson Jr. If not, I'm gonna take Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton's gone.
That will make this.
That made it easier.
Oh man. I'm thinking.
I mean,
part of me
Singletary is a cheap little workhorse right now. He's gone. Ford is available.
I'm thinking about taking Trevor Lawrence as my QB too. I mean, I know Jared Goff offers zero rushing upside, but you know what? I don't care. You know what happened?
Yeah, I played the ADP game and lost. I took Mostert instead of Jordan Love and regretting it a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes it bites you in the butt, right?
It does.
Well, you know me, I'm a Jags fan, so I've got to draft 200.
I mean, you got the stack. You got Kirk and you got Lawrence stacked together. That's a nice little spot. We'll see.
Now, I'm short of running backs.
And there's some decent ones available. You talked earlier about the Chargers. Gus Edwards is just hanging out there. Kendre Miller's kind of an interesting guy with the Kamara situation.
And because I think he's been playing longer than a 68 Camaro.
Yeah. We talked earlier, Khalil Herbert would be an interesting guy if he were to get traded to Dallas.
Or Roschon, but Roschon was a 4th-round pick last year.
Yeah, and Roschon, he's a good pass blocker, but he doesn't seem like he doesn't seem that good. Last year, the only time he did well was in the fourth quarter when the Bears were down 25 points and the team was playing prevent defense. He never really got the ball much in the first quarter, so it was hard. You couldn't really see him against first-team defenses.
What do you think about Chase Brown?
I think Chase Brown was, a hyper-efficient player last year that, I caught a couple nice highlights, but I think I'd rather Zach Moss. I would take Gus Edwards in this situation for sure. We know what Gus Edwards is, and we know that even though he might run for less than 4 yards per carry, he's still going to get those goal line touches.
Nobody wants Justin Herbert. It's funny. Last year, you could get Justin Herbert 5th round, Trevor Lawrence 5th round. Now then, I got Trevor Lawrence at 117.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you think about my team so far? I mean, we've gone different ways. You've gone heavier running back. I've gone heavier quarterback and tight end.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think it's a good squad. I like the stacks that you got, and like I told you, I like the Ingram Lawrence stack right there. So let me make my pick real quick. I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins. We talked earlier. Maybe I can get a little stack here with Darnell Mooney. Oh, there you go. Putting Mooney on your queue there for me.
No, I was already thinking of Mooney. Get a little 5, 9, 12, 5. It seems like there seemingly 3 or 4 bad bye weeks every year. This year it's like week 6, week 12, and week 14.
Yeah, I don't know why the NFL can't figure it out because they'll have, 2 teams on bye, no teams on bye, then 6 teams on bye.
And it's like, what the bleep is this? Like, there's like everybody plays Thanksgiving this year, right? Week 13, right?
Yeah. So here, I talked earlier, gave him some love. I think Farmuth is an interesting pick. I'm going to take him here. If he's not available, I'll pivot. Maybe go with one of these receivers, Jahan Dotson or Adonai Mitchell. But I do think Farmuth is a guy. And Gabe Davis is interesting. You talk about best ball and someone that could pop in any given week. We know Davis is inconsistent with the hands, but could have some big weeks.
I mean, I don't know, but I've already got Kirk and Ingram, so triple stack. I feel like I'd be negative AV getting 3 guys. Not that it's bad. Gabriel Davis will have 1 catch for 8 yards, and he might have 3 for 180.
Yeah, he's a guy that just has such a boom bust potential that I may actually take Davis here. I'm gonna bypass the tight end and see what comes back around to me because I already feel good about my number 1 tight end getting Kelsey. So I feel like I can wait, and if I don't get Farmuth, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. I'm thinking about Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah, it's a good pick. Charbonnet is a guy that if Kenneth Walker went down, we know he could do a lot. And that offense will be different this year with Ryan Grubb from Washington coming over being the play caller.
Yeah, it's going to be weird not seeing Pete Carroll there. You know what? I'd love to see DK Metcalf trade for JSN because I think JSN. I don't think JSN was ever healthy the first half of the year.
No.
But I think JSN's got really good value. I've tried to get him in like that 4th or 5th receiver in like the 80s.
Jalen Polk is also another interesting guy.
Yeah, the rookie out of Wazoo, right?
Yeah. That you got Adunze, Polk, and McMillan all went fairly early.
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous how good. And you know what? If McMillan had been healthy last year, I think he's probably a day one pick.
There's a lot of love for Polk out of camp, saying that everyone just loves this kid.
And I don't mind drafting New England as a value. You have any Falcons? Otherwise, I'm going to take the Darnell Mooney and really annoy you.
You're good. You're fine. You can take Mooney. I do not have any other Falcons, but I'm totally fine with not
Oh,
getting
he
this.
took Polk. He took Polk. He is string stacking us.
He took Polk. That was definitely someone I was looking at. Looking at Polk. Mooney. I got Ricky Pearsall there.
I'm not taking Ricky Pearsall unless this guy takes Mooney. That I might. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, Pretty Ricky will probably end up on my team. But there's some guys. This is a good spot for rookies. I like Jermaine Burton. I like Roman Wilson. Some of these guys again that could easily be in line for some good action. Yep, there goes Mooney.
Yeah, even Pop Douglas.
Yeah, Pop Douglas. It's a decent spot for some upside rookies. If a guy in this range makes it to your lineup twice a year, that's a win. You're not necessarily going to hit on a Puka Nakua every year. But if a guy that you get in the 200s or the 190s ends up playing on your roster twice or more, it's definitely a big win. But yeah, I like the guys here. Like I said, I like Pearsall, I like Burton, and Pearsall's got a big range of outcomes with the potential of a Brandon Ayuk trade, or if something were to happen to Deebo Samuel.
I don't know. I mean, I'm in a weird spot with tight ends because I went heavy tight end early, getting Laporta and Ingram. I mean, part of me thinks I should get another tight end. Part of me thinks I'm set. I don't think I could get better than those two guys, right?
Well, I mean, was I not paying attention and just auto picked?
And I wasn't. Yeah, you took Josh Downs.
I don't hate it. I was thinking, receiver there anyways. I was talking earlier about Ricky Pearsall or Jermaine Burton. Roman Wilson.
You ever considered taking TJ Hawkinson? Or would it have to be if he's
Hawkinson's off the board?
No, I mean, would you ever consider taking TJ Hawkinson?
Oh yeah, I would have.
I mean, it would have to be if he went past like 140-ish to me. I took one Hawkinson. I think it was in like either Green Bay or Minnesota stack.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that's probably going to start the season on the pup, probably a little later. I mean, I'm kind of avoiding Hawkinson. I'm avoiding Higbee, but Hawkinson is a guy that, it's really hard to pass up on him when it's like, do you want Hawkinson or Kmet? And Kmet's, fourth, fifth in the pecking order. And Hawkinson, also has the quarterback on top of his injury history. So I'm really trying to stay away from those guys, Every year you get these guys where there's an injury dip and all the fantasy analysts say go and buy the dip. And it very rarely works out. Usually injured players are cheap for a reason. And it was a major multi-ligament injury for Hawkinson very late in the season.
I just took Pop Douglas. I've heard good things about him, and part of me, I don't think I need the draft another quarterback, right? I mean, Trevor and Golf. I mean, maybe a Drake May, but I don't feel like I need to draft another quarterback, right?
No, I mean, you don't have to. It's no more than 3, but 2 or 3 quarterbacks, 2 or 3 tight ends, and really stack those running backs and receivers where, these running backs in this range are, what you're looking in this range are your guys that could out of nowhere gain a ton of value. Khalil Herbert could gain a ton of value. Ray Davis, you already have James Cook, but Ray Davis.
I was almost about to take Ray Davis, and then I'm like, oh, yeah. And then I was going to say an F-bomb online. My mom was going to come in here and say, so, because I knew I drafted James Cook. Plus, if Khalil Herbert's in Chicago, the Lions and Bears play Week 16. So, I mean, it's one of the reasons why I wanted James Cook. Bills and Lions play Week 15.
Well, and so I'm going to keep my 49ers over here. So Christian McCaffrey, if you look at, what would happen to him if he were to go down, Elijah Mitchell could gain a whole lot of upside. And so that's why I'm going to go with him there. there's just you're looking at deep options that you got to paint a picture, but right now they're not looking good, and that's why they're this deep on the board. Do you know how they're scoring kick returns in the DraftKings?
I don't know off the top of my. I don't know how they all. Let me see. It's Hunt kickoff +6. I don't know what it is on underdog. Let me see what my running backs are. You still there?
I'm here.
Thinking my running backs 12, 5, 5, 10, 7. Wide receivers 12, 14, 5, 12, 9, 5. If I draft another week 5 player, I might as well just punt week 5.
Yeah, I mean that's just it happens sometimes. Week 5 is better than week 14, which is the beginning of the playoffs for most best ball tournaments.
I think it's week 15 here. A guy I'm thinking about taking here, Braylon Allen, the big rookie out of Wisconsin. Maybe not a PPR guy, but maybe a touchdown guy. Is that crazy?
I mean, I there's always a way. I'm not a Braylon Allen guy. I think Breece Hall is one of those. I think there's 4 guys that I could see, really dominating 80%, 90% of the touches. Maybe you could talk about Saquon or Derrick Henry, but Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey, those are the guys that I think you could see that 80+% market share. And it's just, it's really, for me, Braylon Allen may not even be the second best running back on that team. Israel Abinaconda is there. Isaiah Davis is there.
I think Ty Johnson.
Ty Johnson's in Buffalo.
Oh,
I believe he's in Buffalo. But,
yeah, you may be right.
But they've got some guys. I like Isaiah Davis, and I like Izzy Abinaconda. And Izzy is a guy that, he definitely can flash in the passing game, and he also offers kick return.
I think I will finish out my tight end room with Chig Aquanjo.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I was thinking about Shake here as well.
I love messing up.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting when you get this deep into it,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some late round flyers that are not drafting the same guy in every single draft. I'm trying to think who are you late round flyers? Or you just just hold your nose and hope these guys don't suck too bad.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care about a guy that's going to get me 4 or 5 points a week. I'm going for these guys that have upside. So, Justin Fields is a guy that could have some really big return, and I don't necessarily need him to do anything for me. Dameon Pierce, he could be a guy that does a little better if Joe Mixon were to get hurt. So I will. I'm going to take a swing here with Dameon Pierce. Just running back that could again is on a very good offense that could get a little swing, and he also has some kick return specialty, which again we don't really know what that's going to look like this year with the new offense. And then I'm going to probably swing around and take Justin Fields. again, I got some pretty safe quarterbacks, but Justin Fields is a guy that I could go and I could get Justin Fields as an upside play if Russell Wilson were to lose the job or get hurt. I'm not really going to need him.
And if you're gonna draft, and if you're gonna take a chance on a Fields or JJ McCarthy or your build, it's gonna be a 3 quarterback team, right?
Yeah.
Like if you got Josh Allen and actually not Trevor Lawrence because they have the same.
I think like you look at DJ Chark. Like, do I think DJ Chark has the upside of Justin Fields? Like if Russell Wilson got hurt week 1, Justin Fields would be a very good fantasy option. Is he gonna be a good NFL quarterback? Probably not. But he's gonna run the heck out of the ball. He's got George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth, Roman Wilson, Jalen Warren out of the backfield. I mean, I think you could get some good fantasy production. I mean, I think DJ Chark and Tyler Boyd, the upside is limited.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if Russell Wilson tore his ACL in the preseason,
Did Justin Fields just get drafted?
You've been sniped again.
Yes, I was. Well, that means I need to find a pivot option here. And so was really not thinking that anyone was going to go there. So I'm just going to take a stab at a running back in a murky backfield.
Aldrich Estamine.
I probably should have had a backup option, but I really thought Fields was pretty safe.
Just be glad this was an underdog where it's 10 seconds to pick, right?
Yeah, that 10 seconds to pick is brutal.
Gotta be fun, right? Yeah, I'm debating on my last couple picks. I mean, I'm debating Alexander Madison. I mean, it's not great. I don't love it. It makes me hold my nose. Or do I take the Raven rookie receiver Des Walker?
Yeah, I mean, Tez Walker walks into a spot where, Bateman's not been a clean bill of health. He's not been consistent. Tez Walker, I like that pick. Could easily end up as one of the, top guys on that offense. So I'm probably just going to finish up with a quarterback and, and a receiver. A quarterback and a tight end here, just to give me that third tight end and that third quarterback. I don't really see too many options here that I'm super excited about.
I mean, what do you think about Alexander Madison? I mean, I know he pissed off everybody last year, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, I do see a guy that I think is a little interesting in the wide receivers, and it's not Rondale Moore for my Kirk Cousins stack.
No, I think I.
But this guy he's another guy that's kind of a, he's replacing Gabriel Davis, and so he's another guy.
Oh gosh, Chase Claypool.
No, MVS.
Oh no.
I think I can go with MVS here. Again, Josh Allen. We don't necessarily know who the clear-cut guy is. Shakir, Coleman, Samuel, MVS will have one or two. He'll have a few touchdowns, and he could have a double touchdown game like Gabe Davis. Anyone at this point, if they make my lineup one time, I'm happy.
Hoping to pray, right?
Yeah.
Who are some good late round or last pick guys you'd like to take?
Again, I'm looking for handcuff running backs. Dearness Johnson could be an interesting play with my Travis Etienne. You're looking at like Isaac Garendo. You never know with the Shanahan running backs. They draft a guy in the third round, and all of a sudden Elijah Mitchell's good. Well, maybe Elijah Mitchell gets replaced by Isaac Garendo. Theo Johnson is going to be a mover with this whole situation with Darren Waller retiring. Theo Johnson just kind of goes into that role for the Giants.
I don't mind that. I mean, or Trey Sermon because Evan Hull's hurt for Indianapolis, so maybe Trey Sermon becomes the de facto RB2.
Well, but if I'm gonna protect myself in any way, I'd rather go with 3 quarterbacks than 3 tight ends. Tight ends score the least amount of positions. We've had 60 plus in different quarterbacks the last 2 seasons, individually. So I'm just gonna take a third quarterback just to protect myself. And there's not many options here. Jacoby Brissett's a bridge. Tim Darnold's probably a bridge. Got a really tough start to the season. But if I need Michael Penix Jr., he's there if Kirk Cousins goes down. So I'm just going to use my last pick to give me some insurance there. And, again, older quarterback coming off of a pretty major injury.
That's why I got Jared Goff, because he never misses games.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, I'm going to have to head out. It's bedtime over here. Got to put the kiddo to bed. It's been fun hanging out. I appreciate the invite.
Oh, thank you. And what do you think about my team? Tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's good. You got the stacks. You beat me on the stacks by quite a bit there. Got the triple stack with the Lions. You got the Jaguar stack as well. So I think it's a good lineup.
I know. I always feel like I draft the Wolves, even though I try and get the stack, I get the bring back, I try and get the quarterback. It's like,
I think you did a nice job with it. Well, again, I appreciate it, man. I hope you have a great night.
You too. Thanks for joining. Where can people look at your content?
I'm on sportsgamblingpodcast.com. I got a new show called 5 Minute Fantasy Football. Doing 5-minute episodes, best ball content, regular fantasy football content, and Dynasty. And then Dynasty Dorks on Twitter, TikTok, and all my social media.
All right. So thanks for tuning into this episode as we just go with draft discussions, and hopefully this best ball season will be wolfing for both of us, right?
Yeah, man. Hopefully we can win this Millie off this episode.